Alrighty. Hello, hello. Hey there, my DIY paint fans. It's Tanglewood Sue here. So excited to be with you on the DIY paint page today. Let's hope we're on the DIY paint page today. Anyway, let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, I am Sue, otherwise known as Tanglewood Sue, aka Crazy Craft Coach. And I love to invent and reinvent, and I'm excited to be hosting this show here on the DIY paint page. And I've decided to call it, What Can't That Paint Do? Because I think this paint is awesome. I'm going to double check right here and make sure that we are live. Okay, excuse me one sec. Oh, I see the weathered shed. My first one on. Rock on. We're good. So, hey, Kara. I won't be able to see all your faces because it's down on my screen, but I will go back and check, and I always go through my lives at the end and answer any questions that I may not have answered along the way. Anyway, I'm super excited to be here in What Can't This Paint Do? Today, we're going to talk about reinvention and distress. Go ahead, turn off now. No, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to talk about reinvention and distress. We're gonna weave this story through. So for those of you who are new to me, I've been using DIY paint, oh my gosh, 5 or 6 years now. I also have a shop called Tanglewood Works. And those of you who follow me online know that I opened a second location about a month ago for my store, focusing on the furniture, and then had to shut it down in 3 weeks. All right, so we're not going to dwell on that, but we're going to use that because it's all about reinvention and what you learn along the way, what inspires you, and the twists and turns that your life takes that lead you to exceptional places if you're paying attention. All right, and I ended up using Debi's Design Diary paint because of a reinvention. A whole life reinvention. So I want to tell you that story today. I want to talk to you a little bit about, yes, I said stress. Distress, de-stress, distress, and stress, and reinvention. All of it together. So we're going to de-stress with arts and crafts. That's what we're going to do with being creative. So we're going to talk today about how you can use DIY paint, why it's the best for distressing and wet distressing. But first, I need a little bit of input from you guys because I've already painted this with Old 57 and I've put a little bit of Queen Bee on here, but I want to know, do you guys want to see the Queen Bee over Old 57 or vintage linen? That's what I have. So I'm going to paint and talk to you, and then we're going to get to the next level. So, oh, the fan's making noise. Oh, let me turn it off. No problem. It's an old-fashioned fan where I could cut off all my fingers. There we go. Sorry about that, kiddos. I was going for my glam shot. Going for my glam shot. All right, so I'm going to show you guys here. All right, so this is where I'm going to start painting today. I can now look at the comments and see, would you rather see some vintage linen, okay, or more mermaid tail? Hey, Melanie, how are you? And you guys, Pat, thank you for telling me that. Let me know. Linen. All right. Debbie was the first one to answer. Debbie, I'm going to do linen on there. It doesn't mean that we won't do more of the, Queen Bee. Come on now, vintage linen. Oh, good. Thank you for that. There's so many things to check when you go live, you guys. So many things to check. And that was one that, so I'm not used to doing my lives. Oh, that was this. That wasn't me. That was this. I feel like Rosanna Dana. All right, so let's get some of that on the plate there and start putting that on. So, you know what? I have a little bit of, let me show you guys. A little bit on my brush anyway of the queen bee. So it'll be kind of a vintage linen with a little bit of yellow kicked in. How about that? A little bit of queen bee. So I'm going to put this on. So what I've done so far only is put on the old 57. I put on 2 coats because this had some, I'm sure they were charming at one point, but I didn't find them charming anymore. I'm sorry. Little cherries and squiggles and things. Sorry, I didn't like it. So I decided I wanted to kind of paint over. It also had some warps. The veneer's a little warped over here, and I decided not to take it all off, but to incorporate it into the design. Yes, that's what we do. We make it work. We make it work. All right, so let me show you what I'm going to do here. So I want you guys, this video is for people who are totally new to DIY paint and people who've been doing it for a while. So what I've done is I've got a little bit on my brush and I'm just going to go right over. Now when you're distressing and getting 2 tones, you guys, you need to make sure your first layer is completely dry. Okay, so don't try to go right over it if you're going for a 2-tone look. We're not going to go into all that dental today. We'll kind of leave that because that'll be cute. All right, so I am going over here. I use all kinds of brushes. I use chip brushes. I use shorty brushes. I use paint pixie brushes. I use everything I can get my hands on. Whatever is closest to me and clean and hasn't dried up with paint is what I'm using. Okay? So there we go. We're just going to get that. And I'm going to do a light coat and then go back and do another coat. All right? Because I find it's best with this paint to get that first coat on there and not try to put it on too thick for this effect. But stay with me, guys. I'm going to have a ton of different videos and different techniques call for different ways of putting the paint on. For this one, I'm just kind of going on here pretty light, and then we'll go back and do some more. Now, it is really hot where I am today, which is why I had the fan on. So what I am doing is I'm also dipping my paintbrush into a little bit of water and then dipping into the paint, and that's helping me spread this paint on a little bit more today. You could also mist it with a little water. I don't usually put water in the paint. I'll just dip my brush into a little bit of water, and that really helps smooth it out a little bit. So let's get some more here so you guys can see what I'm doing. My water's a little bit contaminated. Honey. Yes, Rosanna, Dana. That's right, with the chair. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to get this on here. I'm going to leave this here. We're just going to play. We're going to play with different ways of doing this. So what I want to tell you about is how I kind of started. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah. How I started with this paint. It was quite a journey. It actually started, if we're starting the whole story, it goes back to the .com bust. Yes, around 2008 or 9. I'm a serial entrepreneur, as many of you know who follow me. I've done a lot of different things. I've been a video editor. I've owned a cafe. I've done a lot of different things. My husband's in tech, and we lived right outside Silicon Valley. Not a good place to be. Not a good place to be in the late aughts. Okay, so my husband lost his job. And I'm running the cafe, and we're trying to hold on. We really are. But it's not happening. It is so not happening. I got to open this up so I stop farting. So I stop paint farting. It is not happening for us. And so we hold on as long as we can. And I'm sure many of you have been through this. You've been through it with your businesses. You've been through it with your families. You've been through it with your husbands, with your wives, with your kids, just things that you're trying to make them work. And you think, oh, if I just hold on a little bit longer. And you just reach a point where you're like, yeah, that chapter is closing. We just didn't get the message. All right. As I've said before, and I'll say again, her family motto is let's go before we're asked to leave. And the Mondials were asked to leave California. I like to put it. So it had chewed us up and spit us out. That's okay. So we landed on our feet, kind of, sort of. I landed on a couch for about 6 months because I was pretty damn depressed. We gave up everything and we ended up moving in with my sister. You guys, my sister lives in a ranch house, single floor, 2.5 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. So now we have 9 people in the house, plus my dog Rosie, okay, plus the hamster. So we have 4 kids, 2 adults, 2 husbands who can't stand each other, and we are there for 9 months. Yeah. Let's talk about reinvention for a second. All right, just try that one on. And you're like, is she going to get to the paint part? Yes, I am. So this was it. This is what we did. And we made it work and we worked it out. But here's what happened. We had to give up everything. We had to sell everything. We had to sell the furniture. There was nothing. We took the car. We took the animals. Living things first. That's what we said. Living things first. And that's all we took. So a few months go by and we figure it out. We start getting our lives back in order. Brian finds a job. I start doing marketing for other businesses. I'm marketing a music band. Y'all know I love to just market, just for marketing's sake. So we started getting some money and we ended up being able to buy a home again. It'd been so long since we owned a home that we qualified for first-time buyers again. So there you go. That was kind of cool. But here's the thing. We get into this house. Guys, we have no furniture. We're in this big 4-square, and we are watching TV. Well, somehow we came up with the money for a TV. Let's just be honest. We're not crazy. But we're watching on lawn chairs that we brought in from the yard, or we found on the road, or whatever. Whatever mommy found on the road is what we had. And I did. That's what I did. I just found stuff on the road. I made a lot of good friends the first year I was here. They really helped me. And I just started amassing some furniture. But, all right, we're getting closer to how we found Debi's here, right? My house was a total hodgepodge of just crazy stuff from off the street, and I wanted to fix it up. And I loved color. I'd always loved color. And I'd always painted furniture, really, but I did it the wrong way because I didn't know any better. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? I just went and got latex paint and put it on furniture. I didn't know. And that's why this is for beginners too. Like, I didn't know to search on the best chalk paint because I had no idea that chalk or clay went into paint. What? It's a whole other world. So somehow along the way, I just knew I loved color and I wanted to have multiple colors on pieces. And I'm thinking if I can just make my home bright and cheery, even though I'm still suffering from depression from the move. Like, I didn't know I was depressed. I was just tired all the time. Anybody who knows me would not have recognized me. I was just tired. I just thought, wow, this is tiring. But it had been going on a year and I was still really, really tired. And only after I started pulling myself out by painting furniture, thank you very much, did I realize that I was in a deep depression. Okay, so I decided to start painting furniture. Yay, me. Except I don't know what I'm doing. And I know I want multiple colors because I know that's going to make me happy. It's not going to be enough for me to just paint this thing one color. So I figure out how to layer colors. I'm watching YouTube after YouTube video, okay? I'm watching them all. We're almost done here. I'm getting this on here. It's almost dry and we'll go back and start playing. I'm watching YouTube videos like crazy and I learned how to layer colors. And I'm like, what? But you know what I'm using? I'm using Vaseline and I'm using wax and candles and I'm doing all these things that kind of take forever. But I'm putting on a layer and I'm doing basically a slip layer or a distress layer. And then I'm putting on another color and I was like, I like that. But then I put on another one. Now keep in mind, I'm still using regular latex paint here, so I still don't quite know what I'm doing. But the bug has bit. Let's just call it what it is. The bug bit. The bug bit big time. And I went on a quest. I went on a quest to figure out what I could find to start painting my furniture. And then all of a sudden, being a serial entrepreneur that I am, I was like, not only am I going to start painting this stuff, I'm going to sell it. Oh my goodness. The looks I got. The husbands who came over to visit with their wives. I'm sorry if there are any husbands on here. I'm going to start doing some queen bee down here. But because we don't have to have it all the same. But they were like, that's cute, right? Yeah, that's what I was dealing with. Isn't she cute? Isn't she cute? She thinks she's gonna sell this stuff. Well, I start figuring it out, and I realize that there is this paint out there with bright colors in this funky can with this crazy representative named Debi who is selling this super fun paint, and I grab me some. And I learn about wet distressing and how I can layer the colors with this paint, and it was like, all right, yeah, loop that around. That's what it was like. It was so awesome. I realized that, there we go, that's what I needed. That's what I had needed to make this work. I didn't need to use candles and Vaseline and wax, and I still use some of that stuff, but boy howdy, this was so much easier. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna check comments, and I'm gonna go back in here, and we're gonna start learning how to do this. So let's just talk about it. Anyway, so fast forward, all is good. I sell at the market. I sell one piece. I make 50 bucks. I take that 50 bucks. I buy more paint. I buy another piece. New store. There we go. I'll tell you all about it another time, but we've chatted enough. That's my story. That's how I found this paint. That's why it meant everything to me, because I wanted a lot of color. I wanted to layer colors. I found this, and it was so awesome. So let me show you what is so awesome. This is not quite dry. We're going to go in here and let me show you there. Okay. I'm going to go back in. I'm seeing these comments that are like so awesome, and I want to go back in, and I'm going to go back in after this is done and read them because I want to learn from everything that you guys are saying to me. But I also don't want to get off track while I'm live. Okay, so I've already done this and it's dried. So let's move this over here. Sorry. There, now we can see. So why do we want to wet distress instead of just distressing? What is the difference? What's the difference? The difference is that and this is why I was getting so frustrated when I was trying to do multiple layers of colors with my paints, is that when you do it this way and you go on the edges, you aren't necessarily going to get the color underneath. Sometimes you're going to go all the way to the wood. And sometimes that's awesome. But what if you really want to see the color underneath? Can you do it that way? Yes, you can. And you can kind of hit it and get there. And you can get these cool effects. But for the most part, do you see how the white's coming through there? When you use sander, because it was originally white. Sorry, I should tell you that. It was originally white. Then I put the blue on. And wait, can we stop real quick? I have to tell you my theory on distressing before we even keep going, because this is important. This is important. This gal posted this piece last week on one of the painting pages that I belong to. I'm on way too many of them. But I love helping out where I can. So I just jump in there and I'm like, if they already have like 500 comments, like I just walk away. But if they've only got a couple like suggestions, I'll jump in and I'll try to help. And her piece didn't look right. And she couldn't figure out what had happened. And it's because she did this. It's very bright here. It's because she did this. Distress, distress, distress. Right? Cheetah marks. Okay? No, cheetah. You distress. You have two options. And this is just me. This is me. This is my opinion. I think you should distress. If you're going to go for a light distress, go along where it would normally hit. Okay? Where it would normally get wear and tear. Around the edges, around the sides, around your frame, all these places. That looks like a natural distress. On the other hand, if you're going for artistic distress, girl, you got to go farther than you think. You've got to you got to take this whole thing off and then it looks cool. But I got to tell you, somewhere in the middle between those two, it doesn't look right. And I'm all about breaking the rules. I swear I am. But I feel like you either got to be edges or crazy. But, you know, a piece of furniture isn't naturally going to just distress right there for no reason. And then your brain goes, what's happening there? What's happening there? So that's my 2 cents. Okay, take it or leave it. That's my 2 cents. All right. There we go. Sorry, you keep having to see the top of my head. I'm sorry. Okay, so there we go. So I've check. my rant on distressing. So if you're distressing with a sander, it's cool, but you're not really going to get those colors coming through as much as you want. See, I'm seeing it. But the wet distress, people, the wet distress is the most awesome thing. Where did I put my water? The wet distress allows you to pull this color back as much as you want while still leaving your other color underneath. And I just think that's awesome. So you can do one of two things. You can wet your overly painted rag a little bit and use that, give you a little bit more control. Okay. Right? Look at that. See? I'm not getting dust everywhere, and I am going with a light touch and a little bit of water that's really pulling this back in this really cool way. I couldn't do that. I personally couldn't do that with just the sandpaper, okay? So when I saw this, I was like, oh my God. Okay? So there we go. Now, so that is one option. Now another option, you guys you see that? Where's the spray bottle from? Agnes, Accidental Agnes, got it for me. Look, I left it in the car. You can also spray right on here. Amazon, my darling, just a mister, just get it on Amazon. You can also put it on here. And if you want to, you can reactivate this color underneath a little bit. It's a little bit hard to do unless you've done multiple coats of the undercolor. But if you let it sit there for just a second, and let me see if I can do it with my finger. Yeah. Do you see what I'm doing? You've got this color underneath, and then you've got this color on top, and you can kind of create almost an ombre effect. I do this a lot, where I paint one color and I do another one, and then I kind of mush them together by reconstituting them, okay? So, and if you feel like, oh, wait, that was too much, I didn't mean to take off that much, just put it back on. You guys, it's paint. Just put it back on, okay? But I'm really liking, it is the best mist bottle ever. I'm really liking kind of this look right here, okay? How are we doing on time? 3. Okay, so rather than put on another coat, normally what I do is put another coat on here and then distress it off, but I really want you guys to just see the effect. So I'm going to show you, I like using this to hit the edge. Okay, I do my hardware on these older pieces, and then I kick it back so it doesn't get gunky. And I think that looks kind of cool. I do. All right, so again, I can do that way and start getting some distressing through, some layering through, with the wet distress. And I haven't found another paint that does this. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure someone will comment on here and tell me which one it is. But there we go. See, look at that. And you can go in a circle. I just haven't found a paint that does that for me. Now, some of you might be like, well, Sue, you're taking off a lot there, Missy. Let's see. There we go. Linen over blue and yellow, then distressed it all the color. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, I'm gonna do kind of crazy colors all over this thing. So I wasn't too worried about what went where. But do you see? I feel like I've got too much light on it. Can you guys see that okay? There we go. This is my new studio. So as I told you, I lost my second store. And so I've set up my new studio and I'm pretty excited, you guys. It's working really well, but I am still figuring out kind of the lighting. Oh, that's better. That's better. I think maybe if I stand and kind of block the light a little bit, you can see it better. All right, so we're getting all this set up. And there we go. So, you know, where would I have ended up if everything was working out the way it was supposed to, right? Would I still be in California? right? Would I still be in California? Would I have ever like just like when I had the cafe, I realized that what I enjoyed about it more than anything, and I talked about this, I think on my interview with Dion a few months ago, was that I liked decorating the cafe. I liked reupholstering the seats for the cafe. I liked painting the walls and creating the events. I hated making coffee. I didn't like that part. I just liked having a colorful space that was mine. Um, so it all had to fall apart. It had to. I would not have sat up one morning and said, "Honey, let's go move to the DC area. We'll be closer to my sister. Our cousins will grow up together, and you and I'll bet you, will eventually sing in a band, and you'll get a better job. And I'm gonna open a company that's just about recreating an art." Would I have woken up that morning and said that? No, because I was just holding on so tight. So now I'm in another reinvention. So now I lost the second store. So now I don't really have a furniture store. So what's going to be next for me? You know what it's going to be? Right here. Right here. I had the warehouse. I just turned the warehouse into an art studio. In about 2 weeks, I'm wet distressing this as we speak. I want to make sure that I think the light's a little bright, but hopefully you guys can see that okay. This is it. That's what we're doing. We're reinventing and distressing and de-stressing, right? We're doing both. I'm going to move you forward a little bit so you can see better because I think this camera is better. Let's move you down. And I'm going to learn to get some curtains. There we go. For this wall. How's that? Hi, 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 hi. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what the next journey will be, no matter what it's going to be. And I'm going to make it creative. And I encourage you guys to do the same because, you know, sometimes we really need that kick in the pants of that thing that just did not work out at all. And there's a certain freedom in that when you have to start at zero. Because sometimes you're never going to choose to go back to zero. You're always just going to keep going forward. But sometimes when your butt gets kicked back to zero, you have no choice. And my butt has gotten kicked back to zero with every major event in my life. It's because my butt got kicked back to zero. But I'm really happy where I am. I've never been happier, actually. I love where I live. I love being close to my sister. And I'm going to love whatever the next thing is that happens. And I love my new studio. I never would have fixed up my studio. I never would have because I was always too busy. I was too busy like fixing this or fixing that or doing this. And I was too busy maintaining what I'd already started to kind of maybe take a bigger look at it and go, maybe you should just try something else. All right. So do you guys have any questions for me? Yes, Val, it would work on IKEA cabinets, but here's what I want to tell you about IKEA. I always think there's a place for IKEA because it helps us through, those of us who, when we have to be on an extreme budget. I think there's so many more options available now with wood furniture that's being thrown out, but especially with cabinetry and everything, IKEA has saved many of our butts. Okay, so what do you need to do? You need to prime IKEA cabinets. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. I would not try to put any paint, as good as it is, directly on the plasticky nature of those cabinets. I would scuff them up really well, and I personally would look for a cabinet. For a primer and even an oil-based primer meant for cabinets to do if they're IKEA cabinets. I had oak cabinets and I used DIY paint on them without a primer because they were so porous. They had no sheen left. They had no shine. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. But if you've got newer cabinets, look at that. Can you guys see that? It's so cool. It's just coming right off. And it's such a cool effect too. I just love it. And then if we want to, oh wait, while I'm doing that, we can let this dry and then put the white on that and then distress it and double distress. Double dip. Let's see if we can do that. So I'm gonna get this here. So do a primer, Val. Do a primer first. Let that dry. Or or if you're like, you really don't want to do that, then at least wash it really, really, really well with TSP or something else like that. And then sand it really well and then seal it. I mean, mine have held up perfectly, but they're oak and they're porous, like I said. IKEA. Hi, Cheryl. Hey, everybody. Hey, hey, hey. All right, so let me see if I can get you in. I'm going to scooch down and get you in a little closer. What if go a little bit that way? I see such a glare. I just didn't want you guys seeing the glare. How's that? Can you see that? You see kind of what we did here with the wet distress. So you guys, just TSP is trisodium phosphate. Trisodium phosphate, it's a cleaner. It's also toxic. So be careful with it, but it's a degreaser that will really gets all the gunk out. You can also use, I use Simple Green a lot. I use a lot of different things. I use, depending on what the grease level is, you just want to make sure there's no residue. Let me come back in so I can say hi. But you just want to make sure there's no residue on your piece so that there's something for it to stick to. I accidentally repainted a piece that I didn't realize had been waxed. Yeah. So mineral spirits, sometimes you can use mineral spirits, but you just want to get any kind of grease off. With this piece, it was just an old wood piece. It was kind of dusty, pretty porous. It wasn't very shiny, so I just wiped it off with Simple Green. So just gauge your piece and do a test. Just do a little test. Do the finger scratch test. So if you paint something that you're not sure about, and you wait a day, let it cure a day at least, and you go back over with your fingernail or whatever. This won't work because it's only been on there an hour. It'll come right off. But and it scratches, it like pulls off. Like you can tell the difference between, oh, it's distressing, and no, this it's just coming off. You can tell the difference. You'll be able to feel it. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll take my sanding sponge too and just like go like this. You see that? It's still there. I'm just doing a light sand and the paint's still there. So I don't have to worry about it. If I dig at it, I'm going to distress it. But a light sand, this is adhering. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope so. Let me see what other... Okay, I'm going to go back and look at all your comments. I love experimenting, you guys. I do love reinventing. I mean, it can get hard and it can be depressing. And somebody said a quote today, maybe it was Jennifer Allwood, and then she quoted Winston Churchill, and now I'm going to butcher it. But something about staying positive in between failures is the key. Look it up. He said it much better than I did, and Jennifer said it much better than me too. But I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, I don't feel like the things that have happened to me have been failures. I don't really see them that way. They've just been big turning points that I had to pay attention to and pick a different direction. Big pivots. We'll call it that. We'll call the Ross big pivot that I've had to do. And I'm in the middle of one right now. I'm totally in the middle of a giant pivot. And so if you want to know kind of more about what I'm up to or where I'm going to go from here, please visit me on my page at Tanglewood Works. That's still where my kind of home base. But I also listed in the comments my URL for my new coaching and tutorial page, which is Crazy A, but I'm not going to say that word because I'm going to be nice on Debi's page, but y'all can figure it out, crazyacraftcoach.com, where it's just links to all the lives, to the new Sue review with Accidental Agnes 2, to tutorials that I've done, and just get on the mailing list and I'll kind of show you what I'm up to. What I love is just pushing the boundaries. So that's why I'm super excited to be doing this show for Debi. I was thinking, like, what should my show be? Everybody was coming up with these great shows. Like, what should my show be? And I was like, it's so obvious. Why did I even have to think about it? It's just taking this paint and going crazy with it. So today was just a little intro. We're going to kind of go step by step. I know a lot of you are just learning about this paint and how cool it is, just like I did, like literally 7 years ago or so. And I invite you to come on the journey with me, with all my fellow DIY paint retailers. They're all awesome. There's so many cool shows on this channel now. And I want to thank Deb and Kenise for putting this all together and organizing it so that we all have a chance to shine and show what we love doing and share it with you guys. So, all right, this is Tanglewood Sue signing off. Every other Thursday at 3 p.m. Join me here. And if you want to see me finish this, I'll be on the New Sue Review on my own page at 3 o'clock tomorrow. All right, stay tuned, you guys. And thank you so much for joining me today.